The Wanderer. If you have been following the Fortnite storyline as of late, that name may seem familiar to you. If not, then you probably have no idea who that is. The Wanderer was first mentioned to us by the Oracle at the end of Season 2.
You have won a great victory for humanity. But your war has not yet begun. Storm clouds gather. The Wanderer draws near. Even in the darkness, hope will guide you.
Not much is known about him besides a slight mock-up of his appearance. When speaking to various NPCs around the island, they tell us about seeing a hooded figure in the distance. They claim to feel a strange presence behind them, that somebody is watching them, but by the time they look back, nobody is there. Many spray paintings can be seen of the Wanderer around the island, depicting him in a white hood and cloak, and an unknown or jumbled up appearance. When looking into the background of Megalodon's loading screen, we can see the same hooded figure in the distance. When listening to the radios, Megalodon tells us that he is allies with the Wanderer. According to Meg, the Wanderer warns us not to try looking under his hood, as our minds are too puny to comprehend his appearance.
Camaradas, ele tem assuntos importantes para resolver na ilha, e nós temos interesses em comum. Não toquem nem falem com ele, e não tentem dar uma espiada debaixo do capuz para ver seu rosto. Seria uma visão além do que suas mentes insignificantes poderiam compreender. Ou não, ele também nunca me deixou ver seu rosto.
Hearing about this causes some major questions to arise about the true identity of the Wanderer, and if he is someone we know from the past. I have some theories of who the suspect could possibly be, so let's just get into it. First off, we need to narrow down if this character is someone who has been in the lore before. According to Megalodon, the Wanderer has important matters to resolve on the island, and should not be disturbed.
Camaradas, ele tem assuntos importantes para resolver na ilha, e nós temos interesses em comum.
I think it is safe to say that this is someone we know from the past. It would only make sense for someone to have matters to resolve if they have been on the island before. When going back to the descriptions of the Wanderer, they all have one thing in common. His appearance is depicted as unknown, ominous, eerie, and having no shape. If you remember, Meg explains how our minds are too puny to comprehend what we would see under his hood, and the murals of him depict that as well. He can be seen wandering around the island, with smoke coming out of his cloak, and altering reality around him. He appears empty and void. There's only one character I can think of that matches this same description and ominousness: the Shapeless Man. The Shapeless Man was first mentioned back in Chapter 4 Season 1 by Stellan. Stellan describes him as a shapeless man who watches us with dark purpose.
Thank you. I will choose to trust you with a secret I have never told. There is a being, a shapeless man. He watches us with dark purpose.
The two have equally eerie tones, and the description of the Shapeless Man perfectly fits the Wanderer. Both are somewhat shapeless and have an unknown appearance. Both watch with dark purpose. Now you might ask, who is the Shapeless Man? His identity has not yet been fully confirmed, but it is highly likely we know who it is. According to Stellan, the Shapeless Man is described as a beautiful monster, enabled by the hubris of a champion that imagines a world of perfect order.
This text prophesies a beautiful monster enabled by the hubris of a champion. They say nothing of what comes next, unless that silence itself is the prophecy. He always said he imagined a world of perfect order. There is no room in a world like that for the likes of us.
The definition of hubris is excessive pride or confidence. There's only one man that fits this description perfectly, and that would be Geno. As you probably know, Geno is the founder of the Imagined Order, and has the main goal of establishing a perfect society and order. Geno is known to be very prideful, all the result of his obsessions with genetic perfection and order, dating back to when he was known as the Ageless Champion. Geno replaced his own daughters, kidnapped millions, and has done many more heinous crimes. He perfectly fits the description of the Shapeless Man made by Stellan. Geno is beautiful in the fact that he is genetically perfect. He is a monster, evident in his disregard for his own daughters and the lives of others. His genetic beauty and monstrous was enabled by his pride, ego, and love for genetics since he was known as the champion. It only makes sense that the Shapeless Man is Geno. Going back to our main question, who is the Wanderer? It could just be the Shapeless Man, aka Geno, the genetic perfectionist and egotistical leader of the IO. Now you might ask, well, didn't Geno die in the Zero War comics? No, actually, he didn't. In the last panel, we can see Geno piecing himself back together atom by atom across multiple realities. At this point, Geno was also somewhat shapeless, adding more to this theory. He has probably built himself back together by now, and is most likely back on the island to restore the imagined order. Additionally, when looking at the Wanderer in-game, you can see that reality seems to distort around him and reshape. When looking to Geno, he can do this as well. When looking at the Zero War comics, while talking about Geno, Wolverine says, "A big fella, hard to get a scent from here, but it's like there isn't just one, and they keep changing." Here he was referring to Geno's ability to alter genetics. We can see Geno altering his surroundings in this panel as well, and the amount of evidence of him being the Wanderer just keep piling up. Some other people have suggested the Wanderer could be the Nothing, Bites, or Trace. The reason I don't think this is the Nothing is because the Nothing is more of a hive mind and group entity, and does not have a physical form. The Nothing refers to itself as a we multiple times throughout its dialogue, and seems more like a collective consciousness.
You're not the one we're looking for. We are searching for someone. We see you're finally prepared to face your fate. You do not question who we are, or why we have chosen you. We know your thoughts. You are capable, but we're seeking a warrior. Proceed, and your fate will forever echo within ours. When we have need of you, you will be summoned.
The Nothing is the embodiment of nothing before the 0 Point's conception, so I don't think it has a physical form. The reason why people think the Wanderer is Bites is because of one of his edit styles, which is named Wanderer. There is a possibility, and the Nothing could have sent Bites to the island as a herald for the Last Reality's arrival, but it just isn't enough evidence. The reason some people think the Wanderer is Trace is because of his description. His skin description says, "Wander no more," and one of his loading screen descriptions says, "Wander long enough, and you will never be lost." Additionally, at the end of last season, the Luminary faction could be seen watching the sandstorm, which the Wanderer was arriving with. Trace was once a part of the Luminaries, but seems to have rebelled against them, and went on to wander to find his true self. If Trace is the Wanderer, it would make sense for the Luminaries to be watching for him, since he was one of them. They would be the most informed people on him. I think there is some evidence to this theory, but I just don't think it will happen. Back when Trace was in the story, he really didn't do much besides assist Sloane. He felt more like a throwaway side character who would disappear at the end of the season, which he did. The Wanderer seems like much more of a threat and important character. I do think Trace is a possible candidate though. With the Ageless back on the island in Chapter 5, as well as Odyssey, who undoubtedly has ties to Geno, I think it's safe to say he has to return one way or another. I'm very confident Charlie has been planning to bring Geno back to the story, and this would be a perfect way to expand upon the story of the Shapeless Man, the Oathbound, Stellan, the Ageless, and the Imagined Order. Keep in mind this is a theory, so I may be completely wrong. I'm open to hear your thoughts. Who do you think the Wanderer is? Is it a collab character for the upcoming Marvel season, an old face from the Fortnite story, or is he a completely new villain? Tell me what you guys think down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. It's the least you can do, and I would really appreciate it. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day.